And we're live.
Hello.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie Agni
Yes.
from Pure Impressed.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, what is going on? Pure Impressed is like the spot for getting your like healthy food or, juices. And when did you start? Talk a little bit about like when this started and how it kind of came about.
Yeah, so thank you. We are a locally owned cold pressed juice bar here in Anchorage. We have 3 locations, although many people don't know about the 3rd location. We have our Huffman location, which is located off Huffman Park Drive next to the Car Shopping Center. And then we have and that opened in October of 2019, just before COVID, and we'll get into that. And then we have our Midtown shop, which is located at the Dover Center. And that one opened in September of 2022.
Okay, is that your flagship shop?
The Dover Center is not. The Huffman shop is.
Got it.
And then our 3rd location, which is kind of the behind-the-scenes shop, that is our juice production facility, but also serves as like our commissary and our warehouse, and where we receive and or accept and do all of our deliveries out of.
Got it.
So
you're doing distribution out of that.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
that one, again, is behind the scenes. But I like to say we have that 3rd location because we have a full team that works out of there. And we, like, without the juice kitchen, like, then there's no cold pressed juice bar.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Every time I go into your shops, I've told you this before, like, I feel like it's something out of, like, Scottsdale or, from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It feels like a franchise, and I think people really don't know that this is, like, an Alaskan-owned company, although you are from Arizona.
Yes, I am, and I love it. Yeah, so I am from Phoenix, Arizona. That's actually where my husband and I met, at Arizona State, so go Sun Devils.
Let's go.
We love it. And so we kind of grew up with just like more, I don't know, fresh
Healthy options, right?
options like at our fingertips. And, it's kind of funny because, back in like the college, even high school, like younger youth days, I didn't really drink a lot of smoothies or, juice or all those things. But I went to these shops and got it every now and then as a treat, but it wasn't more of like a lifestyle choice until like I moved up to Alaska, and then I felt like almost deprived of all of the fresh options that I
Yes.
once had access to. And then, I started doing it kind of in my home. So.
Oh, you started juicing originally
Yeah.
in your home. So for people who don't know, like, can you just talk a little bit about the actual like product and the process? Because I think that's important, because it's not just like a smoothie filled with sugar. These are like actual like pressed juices.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different like juicing methods that are out there. Most people are really familiar with like the centrifugal juicers, and that's what you buy at like the big box stores, like at the retail shops.
For your home
Or
use.
retail stores for your homes. And usually it's kind of like an aluminum like machine, and then
I got one of those at home.
you
Yeah.
have this like, I would say like this little cylinder hopper, and then you have your produce and you put the produce in, and it's usually like a couple of pounds at most, and then it dispenses
And you got the pulp that
juice,
comes out the
and then you
back.
have the pulp in the back, and then you have like this huge mess on your counter,
Yes.
and then you drink
Super
it.
messy, and you use a ton of vegetables and
Yes.
fruit. It's crazy how much you have to use.
Yeah, so in most homes, and the more affordable route is a centrifugal juicer, and it's wonderful, and that's kind of what you would see like at Costco, that sort of thing. But then on like the commercial side and just quality and like longevity, there's like the cold press juicing, and it really it just preserves the nutrients, the vitamins, the enzymes better than a centrifugal would. And there's no pulp in the cold pressed juice, and there's no oxidation, there's no heat. And so instead of when you use a centrifugal, there's a lot of heat that's involved with trying to grind everything together. With a cold pressed juice,
it's spinning.
because it's spinning really
Got
high and fast, which creates heat.
And then the commercial one's just basically like
It's
pushing
just
down
you
on
put
it.
produce in, it chops it, but then there's this press that literally is pressing really slowly the
Yeah.
juice together, which is then extracting all of the juice from the produce out.
Cool.
So
You
that's
get more of the good stuff basically with the commercial
yeah,
version.
exactly. And so, I mean, I think all juice is good. And if you like cold pressed juice, I think it's just my preference.
It's so good. Yeah.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I always stop by there whenever I can, and I grab 3 or 4 of those juices because I got to get one for the wife and a couple for the staff. So.
I feel like once people have it, they sometimes they're a little bit nervous about trying because they're like, oh, the green stuff, oh, the red stuff, like beets, ew. It's kind of intimidating, but then you try it and you're like, this is actually pretty darn good.
So what's your best seller in that realm, just in the cold pressed juice? It's gotta be the one I love is the red one, the
Energize, maybe?
Energize, yeah.
Yeah, so we have on our so we have a full menu. So at the juice bar, we sell cold pressed juice, we sell superfood smoothies, and then we sell wholesome snacks. In our cold pressed juice menu offering, we have greens, roots, fruits, nut milks, and wellness shots. And so we have about 23 cold pressed juice items on our menu at any given time, but then we rotate in specials. So right now, I would say our most popular blend is our watermelon juice, aka Sandia del Sol, which is with watermelon, green apple, and lime.
Oh, dang.
And so we like to offer seasonal specials.
Oh, I didn't know that.
To kind of
switch
play
it
on
up.
the season and just to offer something different and new. And
Sure.
yeah, so that I would say is our most popular one right now.
So I think just to rewind back,
Yeah.
because I want to talk a little bit about like the entrepreneurial side, like
Yes.
where you got this from, like did it come from your parents? And I know you got a degree in marketing and communications, is that
Yes.
correct? And so like talk a little bit about like where your entrepreneurial spirit came from and like how this, because it's hard, like people want to start these things. I think everybody, there's probably a million people with that same idea that you had to like start a really great, healthy choice, like this, place for people to get juices, but nobody takes the jump. So what is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start back to is it too far back to start back from childhood?
Let's start there. Were you selling brownies and stuff? What were you doing?
Well, let's just say this. I grew up, I would say, just an average middle-class family. My dad was in the military. He retired out of Fort Huachuca, Arizona, which is a couple miles south of Phoenix. And I had 2 siblings, and then I had a mom who worked, just different jobs here and there, but really her main priority was, to be the home giver for our house. And then it was once we got older, she got a job and started kind of doing that full time. But I would say my parents were 100% not healthy. Not at all. No way, not at all. And
were they a little overweight too?
I just would say they were just not, I think just lived.
It's same with my parents. A lot of soda. There just wasn't a lot. My parents smoked until probably the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were overweight and I think that was pretty common. Like people weren't running and hiking.
Yeah. They didn't really push, as a child, they didn't push sports on us. And honestly, I really wasn't good at sports, even when I tried. I just wasn't good. So, they didn't push sports on us. They didn't really push anything on us, and they didn't really even push academics. They just said, okay, you need to go to school. You
behave well.
You just be respectful, be kind,
polite.
And they didn't even say go to college because they didn't even go to college. But what they did really well was they kind of molded me into the person I was today just by setting good values and just being a good role model. But they both came from very poor backgrounds and they had to kind of work to get to where they were. And so they very much were a working class family. And so there were a lot of people in my circle growing up that had a lot of things that I think I wanted and maybe I didn't have access to only if I was maybe invited to it. And so I think I was very shielded in that way. But then, I had the opportunity to go to college and I had a partial like scholarship to go to Arizona State.
Academic?
Academic. And that was really great. And when I went to college, I said, I have a couple of goals. I want to find my husband, and he can't be from Arizona because I want to move somewhere else. Who knew it was going to be damn Alaska? I want to meet new people, and I want to figure out like what I'm passionate about. And I achieved, I think, 2 of those because I didn't figure out what I was passionate about, although I did get a communication degree. And I think that helped me get to like somewhere where I'm at today. But I did not come from an entrepreneur background at all.
Okay.
Like my family to this day is like, who are you? And like, where did you get any of this from? Because I honestly don't know. I have a
Your siblings, did they
No.
go on to do anything entrepreneurial?
So I have 2 younger siblings. My middle sister, she is 3.5 years younger than me. She lives in Europe. She speaks 5 languages.
What?
She speaks 5 languages, has
Okay.
twin girls, and she went to Arizona State too. And she met somebody that was in part of some exchange program from Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And so
Cool.
they met. He's now studying to be like a robotic engineer with his PhD in like Austria.
Oh.
And so she lives there, which I'm like, can you please just come back to the United States so I can see you?
Yeah.
So like we don't see her very often, but thank God for like technology.
Yep.
And then my youngest sister, who's about 7.5 years younger than I am, she decided to take a completely different route. She didn't pursue higher education at all. And she kind of just after high school just started working and still trying to kind of figure out what it is she wants to do, because I think she grew up a little different than the way I grew up and my sister, because my parents got a divorce when, well, I actually found out that my parents got a divorce after 27 years of marriage
What?
on Mother's Day, the week I was graduating from college.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Just a
So-
late divorce.
Yeah.
They waited.
Yeah, yeah. And so, anyway, the reason I say that is because, as I mentioned, my younger sister, I feel like her like upbringing was just very different
different
and
from your
broken,
guys's.
and just I don't think had the drive to like maybe want to go to college or pursue anything more. And so she kind of just worked at like a real estate agency and kind of did an office management job. And now she kind of does like more entrepreneurial type gigs for people that she knows
Got
and
it.
helps them kind of work in their businesses.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit about my family. And then go to Arizona State. Love college.
Yeah. You have a great time in college.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you graduate in 4 years too?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I graduated in 4 years apparently.
Some people it takes 5 or 7.
Yeah, hey, that could have been me too. But I did graduate in 4 years. And after we graduated during the recession in 2009. And then I was like, Arizona, this is not going to work out for us. We can't get a job here
Yeah,
at
it was
all.
bad.
It was
That's a bad time. Yeah.
We moved up to, I was dating my boyfriend, who is now my husband
Colin.
at the time, Colin. And we did a 10-day road trip up to Alaska. And we
Where he's
lived here.
from?
Where he's from,
Yeah,
born
yeah.
and raised here.
Yeah. He went to South.
He went to South, yes. Yep.
Shout out to Nathaniel for doing research for me.
Oh, yes, yes. And
He must have been like the first graduating class at South. One of the first.
he was.
Yeah.
Yes. He was, in fact, the first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And so we lived there. We lived here for a couple of years. And then, yeah, I got a job in the telecommunications industry, and I did that for a while.
Alaska
and then,
Communications.
yeah. Nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice job.
How was that? You worked there for a while. Yeah.
I did. I worked there 5.5 years.
What were you doing for him? Just marketing stuff?
I was a marketing manager there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a marketing manager there, and I loved it. The people there were great. The company was really wonderful. I met really great people there, and I think it just came to like a crossroads where I was having my first child. I worked through her first year of life, and I was just kind of ready to either move on or do something different, but I wasn't quite sure what that looked like. But in just discussing like a transition plan in that season of life that I was in, we were like, you've been here for a while, maybe just step away, focus on being at home.
Yep.
And I did that. I quit my job, which I've always had a job, So I quit my job and I was at home and it was different. It was different. I did that for about a year. And then I was like, I'm so bored. I love my daughter, but I'm just bored. And I just feel like I am missing something. And that's, I think, when the whole juicing thing started. I mean,
Okay.
I was doing smoothies and stuff like in college, like randomly. And then it was, I think, when I was working full time as like a parent, but then also as just like an adult, that I was like, okay, I love produce and let me get a juicer and I'll make juices, and I just did it for fun. And when people would come over,
You started
I would just
experimenting.
make it and say,
Yeah.
here you go.
How
And
do
they
you
probably
think?
didn't even want it.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, try it. And excuse me. And so
Did this come from sort of like, I want to eat healthier or be healthier, or was this more like,
I think it was kind of a mix of both.
Yeah.
I just think that like I wanted something quick, accessible, and healthy, and
but it wasn't like a health, something
and
health
there was
related?
nothing.
Yeah, that
and there
happened where
was
you're like, I need to start eating healthier, or I need
no.
to be
I don't think
healthier.
so. I feel like I've always been. As a kid, I was very much overweight, and I feel like as I got older, I like kind of lost the weight by just incorporating like just more movement and healthy habits into my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I would say it was just I wanted something that tastes good and real, and I couldn't really find it anywhere else. So I was like, let me just do it in my home. And so I did it in my home, and then I was like, my husband was really encouraging me to possibly like start a business of some sort. And he was like, do a blog, do like something marketing related, be a consultant. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, I want to open a juice bar. And he's like, yeah, goodbye, not happening. We're not doing food service. No way. I always told you no food service. He's like, it's not happening. And so finally I was like, okay, well, let me prove to you we can do it. He's like, prove to me. So for about a year and a half, I'm not joking, I worked on a business plan.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's where the name Pure Impress came
Yeah.
from, and like the whole design concept.
I had to convince my husband that I was for real.
Yeah, by doing the work.
By doing the work, exactly. Because he was like, no, if we're gonna do something like this, I have to know that you're really in it and you want to do this, and this is just not like a fun little hobby, because this is gonna take time, energy.
So this is interesting because business plans, I don't know the statistics on it, but I think most businesses don't start with a business plan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I think there's a lot of things that you can avoid by just writing out. Like a business plan will help you sort of discover sort of like, oh, what if this happens? Then we do this, or what if this happens? And kind of your values and vision can be put into that. I'm just curious, like how much did you stick to that plan, and how much was it sort of like thrown out the window at some point?
Yeah, so I built a business plan, and I had, I think, about 7 or 8 people read it and just give me like their honest feedback on it. And out of the entire business plan, I would say I implemented at least 75% of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Because initially the business plan involved like a cafe with a full hood kitchen.
Oh.
And then when I was like, as we started looking into the deployment of rolling this concept out, even though I had the menu set, it was just too complicated and then just too much for me to commit to. And I said, I need to scale back and start small. And even though I think there's opportunity for this like whole cafe thing concept, I want to start small, and then that's where the 75% of the business plan came. I just stuck with the juice bar.
What kind of things were you going to do with the like wraps and stuff? Were you thinking?
It was just going to be like a vegan, vegetarian, like a vegetarian vegan, like a cafe where you could get some really fresh, well done salads with good quality dressings, wraps, soups, because I feel like there's such an opportunity for soups.
Well, Middle Way is the only place I can think of that does any of this stuff. It's kind of, they've been doing it forever, like since I was a kid, like for 25 years.
They're lovely. I love them. Yeah, they're great.
They're different realm. I think, you know, you walk in there, it feels a little hippy dippy a little bit, but Yeah, that's the only place I can think of in Alaska. Maybe I had a wrap at Organic Oasis the other day.
Yeah, they're
It
good.
was
I
so
like it.
good.
Yeah, no,
And I
I think
hadn't
they're
eaten
good.
there so
Yeah.
long.
Yes, I
So
haven't been there in a while either, and I probably should try them
I think they're
out.
under new management or under new
Yeah.
ownership
Yep, I read
potentially.
that. You're
Yeah,
right.
really good wraps. Chase,
Nice.
my business partner, he keeps going back there. He's like addicted to this
Yeah,
protein wrap that he
that
gets.
sounds good.
Yeah, and you feel good after you eat this stuff.
Yeah.
This is the biggest thing. You don't feel like crap.
Yes. Yes.
So you had the business plan. You pretty much stuck to it.
I would say so. Yeah.
But the big thing is you let other people sort of pick it apart a little bit, right?
Trusted people, I said, this is what I want to do. This is my plan. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And I asked people that came from different backgrounds
Yep.
and
Finance.
different, just different experience,
Different points of view.
different points of view, because perspective is everything. And they just gave me their honest feedback about everything, because my goal at the juice bar is to be able to serve everyone, all walks of life, depending on where they're at in their wellness journey. And I think that there really, truly is something for everyone on the menu.
Were financials built into this?
100%.
Business plan? I mean, that's a big part of a business plan.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
And so, like, capital-wise, like, how did you go about the capital thing, and what did that look like for the people out there listening?
Yes. So the pro forma was the biggest part. I mean, if you don't know your numbers, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really challenging. So understanding the market, understanding the customer base, understanding like the income of the community that you're going to be finding
Yeah.
and putting your
Price
business
points
at.
wise,
Yep.
yeah.
That all
So you
very
did
much.
some market research.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And I did that not only locally, but I did it regionally, and then I did it domestically.
Wow.
And I did it again over a course of a year and a half, so it's not like it all happened at the same time. And I even went to one conference in LA called Coffee Fest, which
cool. Oh, yeah.
initially part of our business plan was to roll out with coffee. But then I was like, let's scale back. There's so many people that do coffee well. Stay focused,
Yeah.
Stephanie, and like
Yeah.
I'm staying focused here. And so anyway, in terms of like your question, we raised money ourselves personally,
Yeah.
and we don't have any investors. And I said I didn't want any investors because I wanted to not answer to anyone. I wanted to do it how I wanted to do it, and
You were able to do it, just kind of bootstrap it yourselves,
yeah.
essentially.
Yes, and we were very, we knew exactly, we operated on a very tight budget.
Yeah.
And we knew exactly what we wanted. We researched all of the materials, all of the space before we even signed any agreements, any contracts. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted before I went into any meeting. So when I went into a meeting, they were just validating what I already knew I wanted.
Got it.
And that's how I knew it was like, this is a trusted partner that I can work
Right.
with.
This is
And
the
this
right
is
thing.
about what the price point should be. So even if I'm coming in and they're like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, or that sort of thing, it's like, no, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I came prepared.
So do you feel like this is your passion? Like going back to what you said, like you didn't find your passion in college, which I'm still yet to find my passion. I don't even know what that means,
I don't
honestly.
even know what that means yet either.
Yeah, I think it's a funny thing that people say that I realize now, like, things that are your passion. Nothing is like, you don't love everything all the time.
Yeah,
right? The thing you're doing.
100%.
And I think that's a big thing with parenting. It's like, I don't love being a parent all the time, but I absolutely love my kids all the time. So
Totally, yeah.
this is like a child, I think, when you have a business, because
Oh.
I have a business as well, and it's like becomes your child. There's times when you love it, and there's times when it's not so great.
Yes. Yeah, so would I say it's my passion? I would say initially it started as like my passion project.
Yeah.
Sure, because it was a hobby that I did inside my home that I said, I personally love doing this. I enjoy doing it. And I did it for friends. I did it for family. And I probably pushed it on to people where they're like, you're kind of annoying. And then I just kind of made it into a business opportunity. I think unintentionally, though. I said, there is a void in the Anchorage market. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm craving this. Where do you even go to get this? I was hoping for the 5 years that I lived in Anchorage, and then the 3 years I was like considering, like evaluating doing something. Because, before you start a business and even start doing a business plan, you're thinking in your mind,
Your gut's telling you.
You're telling you there's
Yeah.
something else that
Your
you
gut's
should
telling
be
you
doing.
that like, oh, we can do this,
Yeah.
or there's opportunity here.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of like different factors and consideration things that come into play, but
What were some of the things that happened along the way that were sort of like, oh shit, or like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this, or was there anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you can think of anything like along the way where it's like, man, you guys just hit a wall or hit a barrier that you didn't expect to hit that you guys got around or had to do something to
yeah,
get past.
100%. So we opened up Huffman, our flagship
What year was
store,
that?
in October of 2019.
Okay, right before COVID.
And COVID happened I think we got like some sort of announcement that something was going on in like mid-January-ish.
Oh, yeah.
And there was like speculation of like craziness maybe starting to happen. But I think it was in March when it really
Yeah, when it shut down.
When it shut down. And it was navigating that because being a new business operator, there's so many things you just don't know. And I don't come from a background of restaurant, beverage, hospitality at all. While I have worked in one or two jobs in that industry, I know nothing about the business administrative side of it or like the small business ownership side of it. So a lot of it I was navigating as I was going and learning as I was going. And I did have, some good mentors and some books that I kind of like read to maybe help me, but that's never enough.
No.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And
was that just a gut punch and you just didn't?
Well,
I mean, for all businesses, what a gut punch, but I think a lot of businesses were saved because they had this longevity of sort of business that they did, and they were able to get like loans and like PPP, but like for new businesses, it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. When we opened up the business at Huffman, the first challenge that we had to navigate, which was really challenging, was we opened with this, what they call like an X1 mini machine, and it can press up to about 5 pounds of produce at a single time, and I would say per hour yield about maybe 50 bottles per hour. And we opened the store with what we thought to believe, based on what our rep told us, our market would purchase.
Got it.
And we sold out
within
an hour. It wasn't enough. And we couldn't keep up. We were seriously pressing, me and my husband, around the clock. We had babysitters on, because I had 2 kids at this time.
This is when you first opened.
When we first opened. So that's the first challenge that we had to like kind of work through.
The demand was way higher than anticipated.
More than we could have ever anticipated.
Wow.
And we did not expect that. We had people coming in early to press, just as part of the normal like production schedule. And then we had me and my husband coming in after he was done with his day job pressing. We would both go home, have dinner, get a babysitter there, then go back to the juice bar just to press more, to show up the next day for people to complain and be upset with us.
Are you guys running out of supplies? Like, where are you getting all your vegetables and fruits from?
We work with a couple of local purveyors in town, and that was not an issue at all.
Okay.
Like, that was definitely not.
We
could get enough. We didn't have the infrastructure in place to produce enough for what was being demanded of us.
Yeah.
So being able to navigate that will also empathize with customers that were just straight up angry.
Yeah, they're like, you're out.
You're out. They're like, how are you out? And I felt like while some did extend some grace, we literally just didn't know that was what to expect. So within 1 month, we had to upgrade our machine that our rep told us, you don't need that. Maybe in like year 7, you'll need that.
You got it.
We got it within 1 month, and we had to kind of put financing together really quickly to buy it, rush it up here from Buffalo, New York.
Was it a lot?
Yeah, it was about, it was certainly not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not like a $2,000 machine.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And so we had to put the funding together and then, get it here, learn how to use it real quick, then teach our staff how to use it real quick, and then...
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too. Like, when you're a consumer and you go into a place of business and they don't have what you thought they were going to have, you probably won't come back. So you're to be able to react and like do something about it right away, I think was super smart, because otherwise you guys probably just limped along and then probably, I mean, who knows what would happen, but disappointing people is not what you
We
want to be doing.
100% disappointed people, and
Just for a short time, though. You got
for a
that.
short period of time,
Yeah.
but that still is time we can never get back,
Yeah.
and trust that we can never get back. And um, it just is like a really unfortunate situation altogether, but that is a specific situation
Yeah, it's
aside from
challenge.
COVID that I just had to like kind of navigate and figure out and try to share this story, not as an excuse, but as like, hey, we hear you, we understand, we recognize that we have a problem, and we're trying to figure out ways to like make
Yeah.
this right. And then
Interesting.
and then the COVID thing, I
Yeah.
found out I was pregnant shortly after we
Oh,
opened
shit.
Huffman. Yes, I have this trend that every time I open a store, I get pregnant. I don't
Was
know
this
what.
baby 3?
Baby 3, I
Yeah.
found out I was pregnant. Yep. So pregnant with my baby, my third child, and then COVID happened 6 months into opening Huffman, and then employees basically saying, "Yeah, I'm out," and I said,
Because they're getting paid more by staying home. A lot. I think it was $600 a
yeah,
week. People are
and
getting
I think
paid.
there was just a lot of unknowns
Yeah.
happening with
Yeah.
COVID, and people just didn't know what to make of it. And
Yeah.
so they just, and I gave my team the autonomy to do what they felt was right for them. There were some people that had the flexibility of staying at home while others did not. They
Gotcha.
had to
Go out.
they had to come to work. But a lot of them, they were just so scared, and they were like, I want to be at home. And it wasn't until I think about the mid-June where people started saying, I'm ready to come back. But at that point, it's like, well, I have bills to pay.
Yeah.
I showed up every single day. And so whether I served one person that day or 5, I showed up.
And did you guys stay busy during that time? Like, how long till like the COVID thing kind of like it kind of went away for you guys, and then you guys started to see that business come back?
So I would say when everything shut down in March and April, it was like the saddest like 2 months of
Just
my life.
crickets. Yeah.
Yeah, it was people would
Tumbleweeds.
trickle in. There was a lot of like services that we had to put in place to accommodate our guests, which we were 100% like understanding of. And
And
it
on the
wasn't
mark.
until June, I would say like mid and end of June, like things started picking up a little bit, and our team felt comfortable enough to come back.
Yeah, and this was an interesting thing too because I think this COVID thing really made businesses realize how important it was to
Yeah.
communicate with their customers.
Yeah.
And on the marketing side, right? Whether
Yes.
it's on social media or email marketing, was there anything you did to really communicate with your customers to let them know, like, for health and wellness, this category, like people probably maybe I don't want to get sick. I'm gonna drink like more healthy juices and things like that. Was there any communication like that, or were you kind of just hanging on by the seat of your pants, just working every day? On the storefront?
That's a good question. We did not do any special like communication
Messaging.
or messaging or campaigns around the benefits of drinking cold pressed juice during this time. But what we did do was we really magnified all of our like cleanliness, sanitation practices, and we just made sure we had products that were raw, real, wholesome stuff that honestly makes you feel good when you drink it, available so that when people were ready to come in and try it, we had it. And then the product, I believe, strongly speaks for itself, and you feel good after you drink it, and then they just come back.
Yep.
So that was always like my focus, and just being just available to serve our guests the best that I could during that time.
Yeah.
And whether we got served 1, 2, 3 people in a day, sometimes it was low as that.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes we got like a peak of 20 customers, which is quite sad too. I showed up because some of those patients or some of the customers we saw were actually cancer patients, and they would like sit there and talk to me for like 15, 20 minutes about like their stories of like how like the juice was like helping them feel better. And I don't know, it's just really touching to know that like you're helping them in that way.
That's cool.
But yeah, I didn't do anything specific. I was just
hanging on. It sounds like you're pregnant. You're the only employee, basically.
I was literally the
You're
only
doing all the
employee.
juicing. You're doing all the customer service.
Yeah.
And then, to get to the marketing side.
And there were a couple
communication.
of people too on the back end that did show up, but they were not exposed to the customers.
Got it.
Like doing the bowls and the smoothies. So there was a little bit of flexibility and comfort with them performing their role. But, for the baristas, they just didn't feel like at that time it was the right
So
decision for them.
fast forward to
Yeah.
maybe a year or two later, and like now that at that point nobody wants to come to work. Like, what kind of
Oh,
staffing issues did you see after COVID, and how has that kind of played out since, and how is your staff right now?
our staff is
Right
amazing.
now, yeah.
Right now, we have the most amazing team, and didn't always, it took a long time for me to figure out, one, navigating like being a small business owner, figuring out what is our work culture? What is our team
Yeah.
culture? Like, what does that even look like? I didn't know. I knew what it looked like in my head, but I didn't know what that was actually going to like come out and
How it was
be.
gonna work. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to unfold. So that took a little bit of trial and error, and I had to figure that out. And once I figured that out, we have developed and we have such a strong team um, of professionals that show up every day to work with a good attitude. They want to serve their customers. And I always ask the question in an interview, why do you want to work here? And why do you want to work here versus all of these other places?
And is there an answer you're looking for in that, or not?
Just
Or
a genuine
yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many options that people have nowadays and choices. And
The last thing you want people to say is like, "Oh, I just need a job," and it's like, okay, red
yeah,
flag.
because what I tell my team is I'm only one person and these are my responsibilities, but I need somebody that can help me fulfill and live out our mission and be an extension of me. So, are you that person? Can you be that person? And can I trust you? And if there's ever any small point where I don't trust you, then we would have to probably separate. But
Yeah.
the team that we have, they've been with us some as long as 5.5 years
Okay.
since we've opened the juice bar, and some of the baristas years.
That's
And they're just
awesome.
lovely people to work with, and I feel like they make all of the difference.
Okay.
So.
Any advice on hiring and firing? I mean, I'm sure you fired
Oh,
your
yes.
employees. I mean,
It's
you're
the word.
HR, you're marketing,
Too much.
you're doing the your bookkeeping and accounting potentially.
Yeah.
And you're doing all the sort of like
Yeah, you gotta figure it
everything in
out.
between.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is there any advice you'd give people when it comes to, I mean, your question about like why do you work here? That's great, because that's as simple as that question is. It's loaded, right? Like,
It
your
is.
answer is very important, and hopefully the person's genuine about it and
Yeah.
not just saying like, "Oh, I love juice," and
Well,
just to please
exactly.
you. And if they say that, you can tell like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not genuine.
And when I have an interview with someone, I say, hey, this is, well, it's technically an interview. Like, this is just a conversation between you and I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me, because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're the right fit
It's a
for
good
you
fit.
and you're the right fit for us. And I would say, my tip would be, take your time with the interview process. Take your time and don't just interview one person one time. Interview them multiple times in different settings, and have different trusted colleagues, team members that serve in different roles also interview them, so that not only they can share their perspective on this potential applicant, but then the applicant can interview people in different roles and ask them questions about things they may not feel comfortable asking you. I'm an open book. I will share everything and anything with you.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't want to ask you because they may be
They're
nervous or they just
intimidated.
don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable, and I get that.
That's great advice.
So I say, trust your team and let them also be part of the interviewing process, because if your team really likes the people that you're bringing on board, the onboarding process is so much easier.
Yeah.
And then there's already this foundation of trust that is established before you even get there.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. I've heard this advice from other business people. Gary V, particularly, he talks about firing as fast as you hire,
Yeah.
which I don't necessarily think is a great thing. I think if you do your due diligence in the hiring process, you should find people that are, obviously not everybody's going to be bought into your systems, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
of
always
course.
work out, but I do think development of employees is super important in making sure that people feel heard And feel, a big part of like what none of these a lot of small businesses are missing is like good training programs, including my own. Like I don't have like a super dialed like training program for what the positions are that exist here at Orange Slice, and that's tough because we're new, and so like these
I
roles
get
are
it.
just being worked out. How do you describe like your culture and like do you guys have like a training program and education focus?
Yeah, so that was a couple of questions in one. So
Yeah.
I'll start with the culture. How would I describe our culture? I would say it's lighthearted. It's kind of just easygoing. Everybody that's in their role knows exactly what they're supposed to do. I say leave the drama at the door, leave the gossip at the door, come to work with a smile. If you don't think you're capable and able to do that, let's talk. And come to work ready to serve, because you don't know who you're going to serve and the impact that you're going to make on that person
It's
on that
cancer
day.
patients, right? This is what you're talking about.
And just like everyday people, like just everyday people, like you don't know what they're going through. And
Yeah.
so just come to work with a smile, and that will go a long way. And in terms of like the training program, it took us some time to figure this out. But an interview question that I do ask applicants is, tell me about your last position and tell me what went well and not well about your onboarding process, because then I can take a mental note of that on whether we do that or don't do that, or maybe we should or shouldn't do that. But we basically have a 2-week, and this is for just like a juice bar barista position, for example, and they are somebody that works in the retail storefront. They are welcoming guests into the store. They're taking all of their orders and making their bowls, smoothies, and just providing the juice to them. So this is the juice bar barista position that I'm describing. And it's about a 2-week training program once they're hired. And they come in for the first day, and before they start, and they fill out all of their boring new hire paperwork. We go through their training program, and I have it typed out. Then I send them a welcome email and say, hey, this is all of the information we just discussed. Here's your training program. This is what to expect. This is all of your profile information. This is payroll, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when they come into the store for the first day, and they train for about a solid 2 weeks, and they get teamed up with a trainer, so to speak, and they train with them. And then on the last 2 days, they're tested by me.
Oh.
And they get a test, and it's
Cool.
like a pass or fail.
Cool.
And I test them on a variety of things, and I say, you need to be able to do this within this time frame. And I said, this isn't supposed to be intimidating, but I think for the most part, you'll be able to do this. And most people are able to do it.
If they fail, what happens?
Most people don't fail, because
Yeah.
I feel like we have a pretty good training program in place. And
It's hard to fail.
the training is like learning about what our mission statement is and what our
Oh,
values
okay.
are, like our online store, how to make bowls, how to
Yeah.
make smoothies, what the opening and closing procedures are. Like that stuff is all kind of learned through repetition.
Yeah.
And so they figure that stuff out, and I just ask them different questions on those type of things, or hey, can you make me this, or hey, can you do this, and are you doing it within this time frame? I mean, like that sort of thing. And if they fail, then usually what I do is I have a sit down conversation with them, or if it's just not really where they should be, I have a sit down conversation with them and say, hey, I think we need to extend your training a little bit, and then we'll need to revisit it. And usually at that point they're like up to speed. And I think only once out of the 5 years we've been open, I've had to say, I'm not sure this is the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I also talk with, their colleagues and say, hey, how are they performing? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Is there something I could be doing to provide more support to you?
Well, that explains a lot why the experience at the store is so great every time I go in, honestly. Like
Oh, well, thank you.
That's good to know, because it doesn't, you shop around, like you
Yeah.
go to stores, like
Yeah.
you could get very inconsistent service and products from different small businesses depending on who's working in the back, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a good business. I mean, there's a reason McDonald's is so popular, because it's consistent, right?
Yeah. Oh,
People
yeah.
get the same exact thing every time, and they know exactly how it's going to taste.
100%. Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about your marketing strategies and seeing like what your philosophy with marketing is, since you do have a background in that. Like,
Yeah.
and I know it's probably like you know, your customer experience, your employees, your Your product is probably like number one and two
Yes.
as far as priorities. So getting to the marketing side, I think for a lot of small business owners is tough. So what do you do to sort of stay on top of that and get a message out? And is there things you're doing on a regular basis, campaigns, things like that you can talk about?
Hopefully hiring Orange Slice. So as a small business owner,
You wear all the hats.
I kind of do all of it like many other small business owners. I don't think that this part of this story is going to be any different. And so my marketing in terms of what are we doing? Not enough, honestly, not enough. We need to have like a partner that really helps us focus on fulfilling our mission, sharing our story, making sure that people know, hey, we're a locally owned business and this is kind of what we can do to provide value to your life. We are doing some really basic social media. We try to stay engaged with our customers and our guests by sending out monthly e-newsletters. We try to do promotions in store to give guests the opportunity to try a different product mix of our service offerings and product offerings.
You guys sponsor, like,
We
I saw
do.
your banner. I play hockey, so I see it at O'Malley. It's like right there in the middle.
Yes, so we try to do as much community engagement as we can, and we try to say yes
Holy
as much as
Rosary,
possible.
you sponsored something there.
Yes,
I read.
yes,
Yeah.
we try to do as much as we can. But anytime somebody approaches us, my goal is always to say yes if we're able to, because the community engagement and why we do what we do is for the community. That's kind of like what started this whole idea. And that's really what I'm in business for, to serve the community. And so
we're such a community-focused Anchorage is, where everything's about community. And I think about like events, being out at events, and just kind of getting out there and getting your product in front of people. I think is a great way to sort of expose people to your brand. Because I think there's a lot of people who don't know.
Yes.
And you guys are doing catering now as well. Is that correct?
Yes
on the
and
DL.
no. Yes, on the DL.
If anybody's listening, it's
we do it. And again, if you reach out to us with enough time, it's not like we have this like specific catering menu, because I think every event and request is different. And
so
I customize it and tailor it, to the customer and what their needs are as much as possible. And we do that. But I mean, I think that we can be doing so much more, and we want to do more.
It's tough.
And
I know that feeling of
bring
sort
it
of like, we're not doing
on.
enough, but you guys are doing You're doing the most for sure. And
we're trying.
My favorite products are the avocado toast, the peanut butter and jelly acai bowls.
Oh,
so
yeah,
good.
that's a good one.
I love that for like a lunch, not a heavy, like doing it as lunch. And then the Energize juice is my favorite.
Yes.
How are we doing on time, Nathaniel?
About 50 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe another 10 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Do you want to get into family stuff? You have 4 daughters.
Do it. I have 4 kids. Oh my gosh, I'm tired just thinking about that.
Sheesh.
Yes,
Yeah. How do you do it? Like, people say like, oh, I got 2 kids. Like, and I can, they're just focused on that. You're like running in multiple location business with how many employees? Like 12, 15?
We have 16 right now in headcount.
Yeah.
Yep.
16 employees. Yeah.
So I have 4 girls, a girl mom, my husband's a girl dad, all the estrogen, all the feelings in the house. Oh my goodness, bless his heart. So we have a 9-year-old, we have a 6-year-old, we have a 3-year-old, and we have a 1-year-old. And so we're in the thick of it. It's a lot, and they're a lot.
They're going to be best friends, though.
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I feel like we're trying to do the right things to instill those values with them, but man, it's a lot.
Yeah, I have 3 daughters. I don't know if I told you that before, but they're
how old?
22, 21, and 17.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I need tips.
So the whole comment about them being friends, like, that didn't happen until like just this last couple of years. Like, they are so close, so tight. All 3 of them actually are really tight. And they still fight occasionally and about the dumbest stuff, but I honestly see them like getting together on a positive level more than anything. So it's really cool to see
And that's,
the
as a
young
parent, that's
ladies.
all you want. It's like you want your kids to have each other because that's, at the end of
Yeah,
the day, your family, and that's
all
what
that
you have, and
matters.
that's all that matters.
Talk about
And so,
passion, right? Like that's
yeah, I mean, that's why I had four, because I'm one of three. And I was like, okay, the two older ones, they can be best friends for a bit. They can do all their stuff. And then the two younger ones,
yeah,
and eventually
yeah.
they'll like come together.
Yeah, it's like a team, right?
Yeah,
I know. I
exactly.
feel so, yeah, not bad, but like for people who are only children who didn't get to experience that, sorry if you are an only child out
Yeah,
there,
no, I
but
understand.
yeah, I mean, it's tough unless you had like friends that were always around close. But I had, a brother that was, 3 years older than me, and he always brought me around and,
Yes,
beat me up and
yes,
picked on me, and that's really what makes good character, I think, with people,
yes,
and actually gives you the sense of how to deal with conflict
yes,
and how to be in situations where you're not so like you're not the one, right?
yes.
To play it
Yeah,
down. So,
yes.
what's your philosophy with parenting? Like, do you have any like ways of handling your kids that you want to give people advice
Oh
on?
gosh, I'm not sure I'm the
You're not even in
represent.
the thick of it yet
I'm
because
not. I'm
a
not.
9-year-old, that's still like cute and fuzzy time, but
Yeah, she's still pretty like gullible and like naive,
yeah.
but you know, I I'm their parent. I'm not their friend.
Hmm.
I try to lead by example, and my husband tries to lead by example as best as we can. We try to instill good values in them, and we tell them that, you are part of our family. You're a member of our family, and you have a responsibility to our family. And so it's important that you serve your role not only as like a daughter, but as like a sister and like as a friend. And growing up, I adored, and even now to this day, I adore big families. Just like the
Yes,
dynamic, the
I know.
community, the love, the energy. It's just something
Awesome.
about it I just love. And I'm not sure, gosh, I hope my husband cannot listen to this. I'm telling him right now, I'm done having kids because I am with like, with the business and just like with his work
Yeah,
and just with our four kids and my fourth child. Oh, God love her to death. But man,
she's a lot.
she's just like a little monster. Oh my Lord. And so I'm just like, I'm done for right now. But,
Give it a year.
you never say never.
Yeah.
And you just never know. But big families, I just love it. And I just say, just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
And
They're not though, I'm sure.
oh, they
They're
fight over a
jerks.
stick.
Yeah.
They can fight over a stick, or oh, she looked at me. It's,
Oh my God.
it's like the worst. It's super embarrassing.
What about sports? You do sport? Do they? I mean, obviously they're still super young.
They're
Six
still
is in
young.
the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Are
still
you guys
young.
are passionate about any sports in your family? It was
Um,
hockey for our family.
Yeah, so my husband grew up playing hockey, competitive hockey, like throughout his entire life. And so pre-COVID, my eldest did play hockey, but then like we didn't want to, not that we didn't want to comply, it's just she didn't want to wear the mask stuff
Oh,
anymore.
under your
And
helmet.
so
Yeah.
at the helmet. And
Yeah.
so that was like a good segue. And she now does gymnastics competitively. And then my middle child does soccer. And then my 3-year-old, who kind of just runs around, does like some fun, like recreational gymnastics, but maybe she'll get into soccer or something like that. But I'm not a big competitive sports
Yeah.
person. I honestly don't understand the game all that much, although I try to. I'm not very coordinated when it comes to sports, and
Yeah.
so I like watching. I like to be part of it, but I just tell my kids, we're doing a sport to have fun, to like learn about like team dynamics,
Totally.
and to move your body. But it's important that you excel and do well in academics and try your hardest, because eventually you're going to have to go out into the world to figure out what you want to do to help other people.
I tell my
And
kids, the more you learn, the more you earn.
yes, exactly. And I said, I'm here to help you along that way, but ultimately that's like what our goal is to try to prepare them to be independent thinkers and to be good contributors to the community, and to make the right decision. We hope, of course, they'll make mistakes along the way, so that when we're not there, they're prepared for life.
I love that.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
pretty much
fantastic.
it. Like, I don't know if that's helpful, but
No, I think anybody who's like having kids or thinking about having
Yeah.
kids or does have kids is gonna listen to that
Yeah.
and take away something great. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on,
Thank you.
Stephanie. I can't say enough how much I appreciate the fact you brought
oh,
this
thank you.
Peer Impressed health and wellness thing to Anchorage, and listening to you talk, it just kind of like felt like it was something that the universe wanted to happen, and you got
Yeah.
to do it, and it kind of came through you, and now it's here for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah, thank you.
And so for that, I really thank you, and I hope there's more of that to come in the future.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me and letting me share some of my story. There's so much more to it. And, you know, I would say that it's certainly not possible. My husband is like so supportive with like making the business possible and helping me like validate everything that we do and just helping me along the way, just a good support system. And then our team is wonderful, and the community is just like so supportive, and we're very grateful for that. So I feel like all of those people together and all of our partners that help bring it all together, I feel it's just like a shared.
Yeah, it's not something we do by ourselves.
No,
doing these
not at
businesses.
all,
It's like,
not at
it's
all.
about everybody coming
Yes,
together.
yes, and
No one person is doing this.
yeah, absolutely. And so I'm really grateful for everyone that makes it possible every day, because yeah, without them it wouldn't be possible. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Anything
you.
else you want to end on? Any
No.
other- yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for coming on, and yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you.